What's better than one 1/24 scale Land Rover kit? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Two 1/24 scale Land Rover kits. There's the Italeri body. Here's the Revell body. And how do they measure up? The Italeri body is very slightly shorter. This is just a fingertip feel. And very slightly larger, slightly wider. So the scaling on these is slightly different. The Revell is a 4-door. Whilst the Italeri, it's having a hard time focusing on the red, is a 2-door. Rear door is integral on the Revell, separate on the Italeri. I believe it gives you the option of a drop-down tailgate or the body, the rear door is as part of the roof. So there's the back of the Italeri with the roof on, and the Revell. I think the Revell, yep, the Revell is very slightly taller. Hard to show all this in the limited space I've got to shoot. Detail on the roof is different. The very distinctive 3 ridges across it at the top here, quite obvious on the Italeri one. Not so obvious on this one, in fact, not there. There's the front of them. So you're expected to put this on, I presume. Which, Safari spacer or some such that kept it cooler. Obviously the Revell's a newer build, it's going to be more detailed, there's a lot more technology gone into the build. This is an older kit, so they both have options for right or left hand drive, and they handle various bits of it in different ways. If you can just see on here on the Revell, there's a little mounting pin for the air duct, air intake, and it'll be on different sides depending upon whether you're right or left hand drive. So you've got a little hole there, little hole there, one of which I presume you'll have to fill in. The Italeri does it slightly differently. It's got a little raised section here in the shape of the air intake, and one on here on this side. And again, one of those will have to be removed depending upon which side you've put it on. So, right, and now the chassis rails. So there's the Revell chassis, quite chunky. Here's the Italeri chassis. Doesn't line up exactly the same, but there are slight differences in the way it's built. That lines up, and these line up, and these ones here are the ones that are different on the two kits. So that's placed slightly differently on the Italeri to the Revell. Wider on the Revell. The chassis rails are further apart on the Italeri. There we go. If you look at them there, they're lined up on one side, and you can see on the other side they're further apart. That would go with the body being wider as well. Different style fuel tanks, but there are so many different models of Land Rover that that's not going to be unknown. Rear bumper on the Revell one, no bumper at all either end on the Italeri one. whole bunch of bits and pieces in here that go inside the engine bay, so obviously no way to compare those between them, given that the Italeri is curbside. Take a look at the leaf springs on the Revell. Nice big chunky beasts. There's your axle. And let's compare those to the Italeris, which look a little bit weedy by comparison. The whole drivetrain of the Italeri does look a little bit less sturdy, shall we say, less solid. Does this carry through to the wheels? The Revell wheels are two-part, front, back, and then you've got these for mounting it so that they should rotate. Italeri wheels are one piece. They slide onto the axles on the back. Let's do a side by side. I think with the lip, the Revels are slightly wider. I think it is just this lip at the front. Very slightly wider. Diameter rather. Compare the tyres side by side. These are the Italeris. These are the Revels. If you compare the diameters, the Revels are just that little bit larger. Width-wise, they're about the same. The tread detail on the Revell is better than the tread detail on the Italeri. The Revell comes with a rather nice finely moulded roof rack. The Italeri has a roof rack. It's a bit more primitive, a bit more chunky, but it is designed for holding these ladders and various other firefighting bits and pieces. And let's have a look at the interior. The Italeri has 3 front seats, 3 very basic. If you've ever driven a Land Rover of this era, you'll remember these very basic, very simple seats. 3 wide. Could be a bit weird being the one in the middle, but that's the way it goes. And there's our cab section. Dash and firewall. Pedals, steering wheel, and that's it. I mean, let's face it, the inside of a Land Rover is pretty sparse. And here, if you want to build it as a pickup, there's the rear tailgate. So, and this will be the this goes between the driver's cab and the back of the rear section of the interior. And the interior is moulded into the main part of the body. No rear seats in this one, though I'm sure you could put them in if you wanted. Build some. For the interior of the Revell, we have 6 seats. Now, I don't know whether it's 3 fancy front seats or 3 basic front seats, or whether there's 3 front seats and 3 rear seats. I'll have to read the instructions to find that one out. And here we have rear seating options. There we go, that answers my earlier question. Rear seating options for the Revell, which is multiple different versions. There's your a rear seat, rear seat. rear benches, they ran along the sides rather than going across. So there's more than enough seating here for the Revell, and then to stick some seats in the Italeri, which is cool, which is an option I might take. And here's the way that Revell do the alternate left and right hand drive. Completely new, completely different dashboards. Side panels for the interior with a lot more door detail than the Italeri comes with. The Italeri does not have these door handles. And here we have the floor of the interior. All one part, separate from the body, unlike the Italeri. There's the rear door, the inside of the rear door anyway. So which kit's the best? That is something you're not going to know until you build them. The Revell is a newer build, newer moulds, more up-to-date technology, probably finer detailing. So it's technically, I'd say it's the better of the two. This is a nice solid model of quite an interesting subject with the fire truck bits on it, and it's a Land Rover. You can turn it into almost anything, really. This one is in a nice neutral colour, so it'll take pretty much any paint you throw at it really easily. This one, the red on this one, unless you want to do it in this colour, might cause you issues with your paint. You're going to need a fairly strong primer to hide the red underneath there, particularly if you're doing a proper white top on it. I like them both. At some point I'll be building them both. The size differences mean that I probably won't be sitting them next to each other, even though it's primarily in the width of this one that you'd notice it. Both perfectly good models. Both going to be very interesting when they're built up. Whenever I do get around to these, I will be doing them as builds, so you'll see them on the channel when they do get made, and most likely I will have a bunch more 3D printed accessories, particularly for this one, given I've already got the interior door handles as an accessory, and it's that bit more basic. It could do with all sorts of extra detailing, but can pick and mix between them as well come the build. And they're, like I say, they're Land Rovers. You can build all sorts of stuff from them.